Looking for dating tips for introverted men? Well, you've come to the right place. What's up, guys? I'm Emyli, head coach and co-founder at emlovz.com, and in 2012, I went on a 100-date experiment. Since then, I've been helping my clients find love fast with my coaching and matchmaking programs. And if you're an introvert and you're struggling with dating, chances are you might not enjoy going to bars and being loud and obnoxious. And you know what? That is totally fine. Stay tuned and we're going to cover where to meet women if you're an introvert. Now, first things first, you may want to go meet women in person because you've used dating apps in the past and they really didn't yield the results that you were looking for. And if that's the case, I totally understand. A lot of people have bad results on dating apps because there's no school for dating apps. How do you set up your profile so that it's competitive? How do you message women so they respond and say yes to your date invitations? All of that, I totally understand, can be really daunting if you have no idea what you're doing. But dating apps are honestly the best place to meet a woman if you're an introvert, because it doesn't mean that you have to go do extroverted things to meet women. It is like it was created by introverts. It is the solution, but it's only going to perform well if you know what you're doing. So in my coaching program, I actually teach my clients how to craft a competitive profile that lands in the top 10 to 20% of all men. And what I do is I teach them how to select the correct photos for their profile, or how to take new photos if they don't know what photos to do. I give them the 6 photo archetypes they want to have, and I teach them how to avoid photo mistakes that people make all the time. Then I also teach them how to test their photos to make sure that they're competitive. Once we know they're super competitive and performing in the top 10 to 20% of all men, then we dial in the profile itself. So when you know how to design a profile in a way that really harnesses the power that these dating app algorithms have to match you with compatible partners, you become unstoppable, especially if you're dating as an introvert, because dating as an introvert makes it really uncomfortable to go meet women out at bars or to go approach strangers and start conversations. Now, I could give you a list of places to meet introverted women, but chances are if you're watching this video and you're dating as an introvert, you're not gonna do it because it's very uncomfortable. And you know what? Even COVID has made me a bit more introverted. I really wouldn't wanna do that either. So to be quite frank with you, my recommendation is to use dating apps. Now, you don't wanna just slap up any old photos that you have in your phone. You don't wanna just send the first message that comes to your mind, which is probably gonna be, hey, hi, hello, how are you, hola, or how was your weekend? You wanna avoid all of these things that are a little bit intuitive. You know, we think, oh, let me just do what feels natural, but that really doesn't work because the dating apps are saturated with other people, other introverts, other extroverts, other people that are really well versed in messaging and online dating. And so what you want to do, I would recommend using dating apps, but you need to know how to stand out from the competition. And if you're having trouble with this is exactly what I do in my coaching program, and I'm here to help you. You can actually check out my free masterclass. It's linked below this video, and I give a ton of tips on how to get started, how to take those first couple steps to really dial in your profile, to get ready for dating, and I talk a little bit more about how my coaching program may be able to help you. Now, if you don't know which apps to be on, my masterclass is going to help give you the top 5 apps I recommend, no matter where you live, as long as it's in a relatively a big enough city that there's other humans in it, right? But I'm going to give you the top 5 dating apps to be on. I do recommend being on all 5 because they all work differently, they all attract a different audience, and they're all going to help you perform better. But using dating apps is like walking around with a bar in your pocket, but you never have to go approach a stranger at a bar. It is the coolest thing when you know exactly how to dial in your profile and exactly what to say to get her attention and to get her to say yes to your date invitation. And all of that is what I teach in my program. So I know what you're probably thinking. Yeah, I hate dating apps. I don't know if I want to use them. Okay, totally cool. You do have options for meeting women in person, but honestly, it can be a little bit scary to strike up a conversation with a stranger. That being said, you want to think about where other introverted women might go, like a bookstore or perhaps a lecture or a coffee shop or a cafe. In my program, I actually teach you how to strategically select locations where you can meet other women that vibe with you, that resonate with you, maybe other introverted women, maybe other extroverted women, whatever it is that you're specifically looking for. I teach you how to strategically select in-person meeting locations that you can go where there are a lot of women that would meet your specifications for your ideal partner. But just a couple ideas to get you started would be like a bookstore, a lecture, maybe even an art class, especially something that recurs on a regular basis. So you see the same people every week from week to week. That can be really helpful because studies show the more frequently you see somebody, the more likely they are to think that you're attractive and the easier it is to build trust and rapport. We've only scratched the surface on dating as an introvert, and we've got a ton of really helpful content coming right up. But if you're liking this video, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave us a comment in the comments below. So, rules for dating extroverts as an introvert. Rule number 1, I want you to keep your first dates short and sweet. They honestly should not be any more than an hour, and that will help you to manage your energy so you don't feel totally exhausted when you get done with the date. So what I recommend that you do is you plan something that has to happen immediately following the date, whether that's a phone call or some sort of event that you have to go to or a meeting you have to attend or a class. That will help you to constrain that first date to an hour or less. And that's a great way to leave her wanting more because you've just scratched the surface on getting to know one another. That gives her a lot more potential for her to say yes to that second date when you invite her on it, because she doesn't know every single detail about your life, like what would have happened if you talked for hours and hours and hours on end. And actually, I've seen in my own research and my own work with clients that when you keep that first date short and sweet, it not only helps to manage your energy, but it makes the woman more interested in you because it creates a little bit of mystery. You leaving her wanting more, so she gets curious about you and starts to wonder. And that's really where you want to be. That's the way to convert more first dates into second dates and even to third dates. So if you're dating an extrovert and you are an introvert, it's important to give each other space to explore the world as you guys want to. She might find it really fun to go out to the bars and network, whereas you feel it would be more enjoyable to sit at home and play Monopoly. So you want to craft enough space in your schedule, and you want to give her enough time to herself that she's able to pursue these extroverted activities that maybe are not your cup of tea, and that you're able to have the space and time that you need for yourself. Now, if you're dating an extrovert and you're an introvert, it's really important to not try and change the other person. There's probably things that you like about the fact that she's extroverted and you're introverted, and I assume that's partly why you were attracted to her. So just keep that in mind when you're getting frustrated and you're like, oh my God, do we have to have friends over another night in a row? Or, oh, do we have to go to that event? I'd rather stay at home. Just remember that, you don't want to change her. You were attracted to her for a reason, and you want to let her do her, but set a precedent that when you don't want to do something or it's not your cup of tea, that you're going to give her space to go and do that. So let her expand your palette. It can be really easy for us to get stuck in our ways, but when you're dating an extrovert and you're an introvert, it can be really interesting to see how they live, to see what they're interested in and why. And so rather than getting judgmental, I would encourage you to get curious and to really step into her world and see what it's like to live as an extrovert. It doesn't mean that you need to change who you are, or that you need to commit to being super outgoing when you're naturally not, but it's a chance to step into her world and see if that is what you want for your future. And that's really what dating is all about. It's an adventure. It's a chance to step into another person's life and see if that's a fit for us. And in the early stages of dating, really stepping into her life is going to be important, because if you feel that it's unsustainable or you're not able to create your own boundaries and say when you do and don't want to do things, then that's important to know early on. But it's a fun adventure, and I think that just having an idea of what her life looks like will give you more information about whether to keep pursuing her. Should two introverts date each other? This is such a good question, and I think the more that you have in common with the people that you date, the better it's gonna go, the more sustainable the relationship is gonna be. But sometimes one person's, I won't say strengths, because it's not necessarily a strength to be an extrovert, but one person, the way that they are, their personality traits can help to enrich your life. So maybe you're not the type to go and network with a bunch of people and go to a bunch of parties and do all this stuff, but having a partner who's really extroverted will help you to be more social, to increase your social circle and get more support, have better friendships, develop more meaningful connections, and just to get in front of more people. It's important to know what your boundaries are though. So if you do end up going on a bunch of, even a bunch of parties, a bunch of events, just know how much you can give. So sometimes it's helpful to set a time limit. All right, I'm gonna go to this party for an hour and then I'm gonna let you do your thing and I'm gonna bounce out. So I'm gonna have an escape route, right? But it can be really a benefit. If two introverts date each other, then that's cool because you guys share the same things in common and maybe you wanna do the same thing on a Friday night. But sometimes that can lead to a bit of a wormhole where, you really never go and try and make new connections. You don't have a social life, and even an introvert is gonna get lonely without having those meaningful human connections. So just keep in mind, what you're looking for in your life, really knowing what your values are and what you want to see in your social life, in your personal life, in your romantic life. And maybe it is the right path for you to be with someone who's very similar to you. I think that tends to play out pretty well, like on a Friday or Saturday night. One person wants to go to the bar, one person wants to sit on the couch. It's going to be very different. So it is important, and the more you date and the more you have these experiences and the more you make a date or dating multiple people at the same time in a low stakes environment, that can really show you who the best partner is for you. Maybe the extrovert brings things out of you that you really didn't even know were inside of you and you really like that. Or maybe it's just really exhausting to date an extrovert because you're an introvert and they're so different. So it's really about gaining that experience, making sure that you're dating multiple people in the early phases of dating so that you can compare and contrast and see which person that I'm dating gives me energy and which person drains my energy. That's like the easiest way to tell who the right one is for you. So let's get into date ideas for dating as an introvert. So some stimulating date ideas would be to hit up a trendy movie theater that serves dinner and drinks, or to watch an indie show and get drinks afterwards. You could also cook a meal together. You could read the same book for an hour and then discuss what you read. You could free yourselves from an escape room, or practice your putting skills over a game of mini golf. You could also team up and run the billiards tables together, or perfect your form for the bowling league you'll never join. You could also break a sweat when you scale a wall rock climbing, or be fancy and check out a jazz club. Those are just a few ideas. There's definitely more where that came from, but if this has been helpful for you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment in the comments below. Also, if you want free access to my masterclass where I help you with all things dating and teach you how to fill up your dating funnel with lots of high quality women, I also give you my date blueprints to give you an idea of how to escalate sexual tension, how to avoid getting ghosted and friend zoned, and then also how to make a date so that you can really find that perfect partner for you. Check out my free masterclass link below this video and let me know how it goes. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.